You're listening to the Cinemental Podcast.
Shall we begin?
All right, welcome back to the Cinemental Podcast, where we discuss mental health in cinema, television, and popular culture, and how it is portrayed. What did they get right? What did they get wrong? And what should you know about mental health? I'm Jeffrey Jones, and I'm a screenwriter as well as a professor of screenwriting. And I'm joined, as always, by my brother, America's psychiatrist, Dr. Joshua Jones, who, as well as being a top 5 The Sims player, is a general and forensic psychiatrist.
I don't know that I made top 5 in The Sims, Jeff. Definitely SimCity. Definitely SimCity. Hey, Jeff,
Yes,
look.
Yeah.
You and I pride
Talk to me.
ourselves on this podcast being incredibly transparent.
Okay.
And so when we make mistakes,
Yeah.
we own up to it, right?
Yes, we do.
So I've been told that I really offended a lot of our viewers and listeners
Yes, you did.
after the Pit episode when I suggested that maybe Noah Wyle wasn't a very good librarian in The Librarian.
Yeah, I remember that. It was such a train wreck in the moment. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah. No, it's and for that, I want to look right here at you, the viewer. I want to say I'm sorry. I am very sorry that it has forced me to come up with a top 5 list of the thirst trappiest, intellectual or otherwise, librarians in popular culture. Let's see if Noah Wyle.
So down for this.
Let's see if Noah Wyle makes it.
I love it. At 5, who we got?
Jeff, so at number 5 is The Librarian from Terry Pratchett's Discworld series. Now, this is a deep cut for a lot of folks because he's actually an orangutan, but fiercely intelligent.
Okay.
And there are about 5 listeners out there who are going, yes, you got it. You got it,
those
sir.
5 feel so seen right now.
So seen. And I see.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, coming in at number 4.
Yeah.
Is the Music Man's Marion Peru. She is a prim and proper librarian that initially clashes with con man Harold Hill, but eventually falls for him.
I love it. You've missed me so far. I'm
intellectual
0 for 2.
integrity is part of her lure.
Okay.
All right, Jeff. Number three. Not controversial at all. This is Barbara Gordon, who is the Batgirl or Oracle in the DC Comics series.
Okay.
She pulls the strings. She is an information broker. Her sharp intellect and fierce independence make her smack dab in the middle of the list. At number 2, Jeff. At number 2, Rupert Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Buffy's watcher.
That's a good call.
And the Sunnydale High School librarian. He embodies intellectual depth, dry wit, and hidden capacity for action. So, Jeff, we've got just one left.
We have
on
just
the
one.
list.
Any honorable mentions, Josh?
Is it Noah Wyle?
Any honorable mentions?
No. No, I don't do that. You make the list or you don't.
Okay.
You make
number
the list
1.
or you
Is
don't.
it Noah? Did he make the list?
It's Evelyn Carnahan from The Mummy, played by Rachel Weisz. She's intelligent and passionate Egyptologist who also happens to be a librarian. So I'm sorry, everyone, that Noah Wile's librarian did not make the list.
So you're standing by the statement that Noah Wyle was not a very good librarian.
Jeff, I've just said I'm sorry. I've apologized. I don't know what more you want from me.
Wow. I mean, look, you gave credit to a lot of other librarians. You know, it's kind of like, all the people who were so wrong about LeBron being better than Jordan. It's like, look, we all say he's second best. You know, I'm not going to deny that he's second best. He's the second best basketball player. That's still high praise. He's just not.
It is very possible that Noah Wile's librarian could be the 6th best. We'll never know.
We'll never know. All right, Josh, well done. Thank you for that mea culpa. We really do need to hold ourselves accountable, and so that was very well done. Okay, so getting back to the show, we want you to start your week off right with our podcast. So we drop a new episode every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we drop another one Thursday at 9 a.m., which is typically a supplemental episode for whatever show that we're doing. And we talk a little more about pop culture during that time. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, or you can watch our hottest and spiciest clips, and now full episodes also on YouTube. Today we're talking about a Minecraft movie. This surprising hit based on the video game of the same name. 2 video games in a row for us. And both have a surprising amount of mental health stuff that we get to talk about. So, Josh, what are we discussing?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about the movie itself, what we loved about it, and why it has resonated with people, including how the movie's themes of community and belonging are reflected in the movie-going experience itself, and what community and belonging have to do with mental health. Then on Thursday, we'll do our traditional deep dive into the mental health implications of video games, using, of course, Minecraft to springboard into that. And we'll talk about the potential benefits of video game playing, and of course the potential pitfalls and negatives.
I'm really excited to talk about that subject because I don't think it's going to be what people think it is. I think that it's going to be they think it's going to be you railing against video games for 30 minutes, and I don't think that's going to be right.
Jeff, we'll just have to wait and find out. Jeff, it's such a surprise. I don't even know.
Such a teaser. I love it. All right, great. Okay, so Josh, third sponsor in a row for us, which I think is amazing. This one I didn't know that I wanted to accept as a sponsor because I'm not a huge fan of gambling. Sure. But there was an online gambling site that reached out to us, and I thought it was apropos, just given the subject matter today, because it's Jack Black's Blackjack.
Sure.
Ready to stack with chips that never lack. At Jack Black's Blackjack, there's no turning back. Dealers we smack, fortunes we track, so click and attack for a winning pack. Join the fun till the very crack of dawn with Jack Black's Blackjack.
That delights me so much. So much.
Also, I do a fair amount of editing on this podcast. I am happy to say you saw me do that first try.
You did, yeah. Yes, you did.
All right, Josh, let's dive into the movie.
Wow.
If you haven't seen it yet, because Minecraft is still in theaters, a Minecraft movie tells a great story. It's a sandbox game, but it tells a really great story. So it begins in the past with the mining-obsessed Steve, played by Jack Black, discovering the Earth Crystal and accidentally opening a portal to the Minecraft world. He learns to survive in a land where his creativity is boundless until he's captured by the evil Malgosha in the Nether, who seeks to use the orb to conquer the Minecraft overworld. Before his capture, Steve sends his dog Dennis back to the real world to hide the orb. In the present day, 4 individuals, a struggling game store owner, siblings Henry and Natalie, who were recently orphaned, and Dawn, a real estate agent and traveling zookeeper, are drawn into the Minecraft world when Henry accidentally reactivates the portal. They encounter the freed Steve, who informs them they need a new orb as Garrett broke the Earth Crystal. Their journey to the Woodland Mansion is perilous, leading to separation and encounters with hostile mobs, including piglins and a massive great hog. They eventually reunite and infiltrate the mansion, with Henry retrieving the Earth Crystal and an Ender Pearl. Despite another, if you don't know what these are, don't worry about it. It's just stuff, you know. They find stuff and it helps them. Despite another attack by the Great Hog and Garrett's apparent sacrifice, they find refuge. However, I'm going to give my brother a moment to welcome.
It's just stuff that helps them. No, it's just.
They found the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah. If I hadn't seen the movie, I would have no idea what any of this stuff is, and I would have probably just been going, "Yeah, okay, yeah,
that's what I'm
sounds
saying.
great.
It sounds cool. Yeah, the Ender Pearl. I want one of those.
It is great.
Yeah. So Malgosha gains control of the amplified orb and declares war. The 5 friends, aided by iron golems, engage in a final battle, ultimately defeating Malgosha. Returning to the normal world, the group finds success in their own ways, creating a video game, opening a zoo, teaching self-defense, building a jetpack, and of course, it's Jack Black, so making music. Steve returns to his old home and encounters its new owner, Alex. And if you are a fan of the game, that's fucking huge.
It was,
but I didn't play the game, and so he just met a lady. And
I know. Look, I know how amazingly huge that is because of Wikipedia. So I'm just very, very happy for that.
Yeah. So Josh, I think I was going to start somewhere else, but let's start here today because I think we just kind of touched on it. Let's talk about the cultural experience. You and I seeing it in the theater, and what that was like. Because I have the utmost jealousy for any time I watch a movie and I'm not part of the community.
Yeah.
Because I've been part of the community. I've been Star Wars is a perfect example. We're all part of the Star Wars community. When we watch Star Wars together, we lose our frickin' minds in the theater. I sat in the very front row when I saw Minecraft. Everybody behind me was losing their minds. When Jack Black says, "I'm Steve," I mean, the place erupted. And I was like, okay, I guess he's Steve. All right. Who the heck knows? Yeah, it's cool that this is a cultural sensation. But you had some thoughts on that. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it was an interesting phenomenon for me too to not be part of the in group. I mean, I'm pushing 50 now. I've never played Minecraft. My son has. He's been in it a lot, so I know some of the things that are important about Minecraft. But watching definitely younger generation, probably a couple generations younger than us now, really delight in this stuff was really cool. Here's something I want your take on, Jeff.
Yeah.
What do you make of this kind of backlash about this? Because, there are folks who are yelling along with "I am Steve" and they're throwing popcorn at the screen during the chicken jockey scene, and several other things. And, very much like, it's probably actually a generation before us, very much like the generation before us's communal theater experience with Rocky Horror Picture Show. Folks are starting to have that, and there's this backlash where people are calling the cops on them, and so that's happening. What do you think of that? What do you take from that?
Like, if you're, I don't know, man, just let people be people. We're so goddamn sensitive, and I should say that with empathy and not the typical like, "Hey, kids be soft." But
I don't think it's kids that are calling the cops on people, Jeff. I think it's people our age.
No, I know. Like, if you're directly affected, then, just, I don't know, address it in the moment. Like, I don't know, talk to people. But, like, I especially in LA, it's so common, actually. Like, you can go see The Room, which is kind of the new Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's the, the worst movie ever. And there's a whole bunch of things that people do communally. Like, they throw popcorn at a certain time, and they respond to the main character with, like, the same turn of phrase. And, it's become this thing that is communal. I don't know, man. If you're not part of it, just let the people who are part of it have their fun. Not everything needs to be catered to your experience, and especially when we're being a part of a community. Sometimes as long as the community action isn't harmful, then just go with the flow, man. It's fun. It's fun to get caught up. In the fun that other people are having. Obviously, we don't want to get caught up in things that are cultish. But if people are having a good time, integrate into the fun. That's my thought on that.
Jeff, what if you are going to the cinema for the sophisticated movie-going experience of Minecraft movie? Look, I think you're spot on that. I mean, it doesn't sound like a really great response to people who are trying to literally bring back to the movies what folks in your industry have been missing from the movies, which is the communal experience. I mean, during the Oscars this year, it was all about, we have to bring people back to the movies because this is where people deserve to see cinema. And, you and I actually go see our Nora episodes if you want to hear Jeff and I pitch each other shit about this, about pleading for people, come watch Nora in theaters. This movie needs to be seen in theaters with a group of other people. I mean, it was cool. Look, the chicken jockey scene where there's this tiny little green Frankenstein-like Minecraft character that rides on top of a Minecraft chicken, that is objectively funny.
Right.
And then the fact that it's actually a meme as well and people like scream chicken jockey at it makes it even funnier.
Yeah, and here's why this is such a good movie, Josh, and I know you agree with this. If you knew nothing about Minecraft, this was still a very entertaining film.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I love that, where there's so many times where you'll see a movie and it'll just be fan service. And they don't tell a good story. They don't have a good plot. And this was not that. This was a complete story, and it was a really great story about creativity and friendship.
Yeah.
And I thought those were just amazing themes. And so let's talk a little bit about I think specifically friendship, because there's more mental health stuff to be talked about there. A lot of these people were alone because they were into things that weren't mainstream. The young boy was into science and built a jetpack. Jason Momoa's character, what was his name? The garbage man?
The garbage man.
Yeah,
the garbage man Garrison. Oh,
yeah,
man.
was stuck in the past from his glory days as a gamer. Steve felt different from everybody and escaped into this world. And they all craved the same thing, which was connection. They wanted to be able to do their own thing, and they were going to stay true to their creativity or to their own thing. But what they really valued more than anything was connection.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was a beautiful theme.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And finding your community and finding connections is a huge step towards good mental health. We've talked about this many times, and it's not a secret. This is the thing that I love about this movie, and I love talking about this movie in the context of mental health, is that none of this stuff to get to better mental health is really surprising or is really, or takes a bunch of science to get to. Right. Having friendships, having good connections, and having community makes you feel better. It allows you to be picked up when you're down. It allowed these folks to say, hey, there is something beyond myself. When you have connections and when you have friendships, you see more than just your own inner world. You see other people's takes on the world as well, and that broadens your view. You see this grow and evolve in the surprisingly deep connection that Jack Black's character and Jason Momoa had as they started out as as not rivals. Even rivals, just as strangers. They were just strangers.
Yeah, they were rivals in the both of them wanted to be the alpha dog.
The alpha dog, right? Yeah, exactly. And so they were strangers. And then you saw trust build slowly. You saw them have to take a leap of faith when they were flying away from the piglins, and they had to perform the upside down acrobat maneuver with each other. And this stuff seemed silly. And it was silly and glorious on the screen, but it was also a microcosm of how honest-to-God friendships and connections form. Right. It's not linear. There's fits and starts. There's times when you get pissed at people. There's times when you may feel like you've been abandoned, and then you don't be. And that's how real friendships and real community form. And this movie was surprisingly deep on that, and I congratulate them that. And also, Jason Momoa and Jack Black, fabulous actors. They really found their connection with each other. I will watch the two of them in any movie they ever do together, ever.
Oh, together for sure. I don't know that I would go see necessarily them by themselves. I like Jack Black.
I didn't say that.
I know. I like Jack Black. He does just a certain thing. It's just constantly that he does with his face. Like that's kind of his one delivery, and he makes some really, really fun movies. But he's not a Tom Cruise for me. I will see anything Tom Cruise does. I know this is a relatively simple answer, Josh, but it's kind of a question in two parts. How do we go about finding our niche community, and how do we overcome the need to isolate? And the habit of isolation, because I think that there is a lot of let me put it in context. I've noticed that with dads who I meet at the park, there's still this sense of like, hey, we met, we both like each other, but it's creepy or weird if we ask each other to hang. Because there's just this like weird separation that I feel like didn't used to be a thing, but now is a thing. And everybody wants to break it. But I find myself even be like, oh, I did hang out with them like 3 days ago. It'd be weird to call them again. They probably want me to call them again, but I don't. Like, we have this real isolationist just sort of habit that I think we all have given into. Do you think that's accurate? And how do we, short of just being the first to lay it out there, how do we break that? And how do we find our weird niche community? That's really the answer I want.
Yeah, I want to put a pin in the weird niche community because I've got a couple of opposing thoughts on that. But in terms of, finding connection with each other, there's actually been a lot written about how adult men have a difficult time finding friends. And I don't think it's actually a new phenomenon to think of, okay, am I following up too soon with this person? Are we getting too close? Things like that. I think that there is a very real fear that you're coming on too strong, that you're being too clingy. I don't know that that's unique to having platonic friends. That's, of course, there's lots of social rules in different social settings about how soon you should call or text somebody
Swingers
back
made a
after
whole movie
first
about
date. Right, exactly. So I don't know that is new. I think that it's a very real fear, and I think overcoming it is A, talking about it, and then B, probably, like you said, overcoming your own internal fear of, am I being too pushy or whatever. The person's going to tell you if they are or not, if you are or not. And the way to get over that is to just do it. And I think our tendency to isolate probably comes from that type of fear. I'm a little bit more of an introvert, so that's always been a little bit of an issue for me. I know some people who are extroverts, they don't seem to have a problem with it. They're like, yeah, I want to hang out with this person. We hung out yesterday. I'm going to go ahead and call them. So I think that's somewhat individualized. It is socioculturally propagated, at least in the sociocultural circles that you and I have run in. And I think the way through it is just through it.
Okay, let me ask you this though, because I think it's got to be a little bit more than that, and I'm gonna out you in order to talk about this. Okay, you have said to me many times that you would be pretty comfortable living in a cabin in the woods, talking to your family and me, and that's about it. You also are an avid Lego guy. I think also sometimes you feel lonely that you don't have more friends. What's the answer for you? How do you balance like being an introvert and sort of needing that connection and being into some weird shit?
Very simple, Jeff. I have built so many Lego friends. I definitely don't need anybody else. Yeah. Well, all those things are true. And I think it speaks to how this is not a unitary concept in any of us. People say, I'm an introvert. Yeah, but you also want to have friends.
Right.
I'm an extrovert. Yeah, but you also want to have your alone time. So this isn't a unitary function in anybody. Even folks who have autism spectrum disorder and spend a tremendous amount of time seemingly content and oftentimes very really content in doing isolated activities also want to have friends.
Right.
Many of them do. So it's not a unitary concept. So all those things can be true for somebody at the same time. And I think the important thing for the listeners are, don't beat yourself up too much if you feel, because of the signals you're getting from society, that you're too far one way or the other. If you feel you're too far one way or the other, do something about it. Right. But if society says you are, fuck them.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And also, I want to add something of my own to the how to sort of get out of the loneliness cycle. I don't know when it happened. I like to blame everything on social media, but I do feel like there's a, what can you do for me as a friend rather than what you can do for other people as a friend?
Yeah.
You got to show up when it's inconvenient for you, in order to have a meaningful friendship. There are times where I'm like, so and so invited me to this, but like I'm just too tired. It's like you have to sacrifice a little to have a meaningful friendship. It can't only be on your terms. And I think that we have become a very, I just want to live everything on my terms. I get everything I want whenever I want it. That has become more of the norm. And I think that you do have to give, and try and give first in a friendship and see how that goes in order to combat some loneliness.
I think that's well said. I want to get back to your question about how do you find your niche community.
Yeah.
Because I think that I think I probably have a little bit of a controversial answer to this.
Ooh.
One, I think it is important, of course, for somebody to feel as though they belong. That is clearly a step towards mental health. So if you
no one came out of the woodwork to support your Noah Wyle take, so like there's nobody in your little niche of Noah Wyle hate. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I don't hate Noah Wyle. I love Noah Wyle. I love Noah Wyle. I don't love Noah Wyle. I don't love Noah Wyle as the librarian. Look, The Librarian was a fine show. It was like the 4th highest rated show on TBS for like 2 years.
Oof. That's a burn. That's a burn.
So I mean, there are clearly a handful of people who liked it. So,
yeah, everybody who listens to our podcast. Because you got roasted.
Totally teasing. I mean, if you love The Librarian, it was great. I actually don't think I ever saw a single episode of it.
I didn't either. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's just
so I mean,
totally
look,
out of pocket.
I'm sure it's fine. I don't hate on anybody who likes The Librarian. I mean, I like a lot of shows that a lot of other people never ever liked or watched.
We both like Kroll.
Kroll.
And if you go back and watch Kroll, you're gonna be like, these guys are never allowed to talk.
Yeah, Kroll. Listen, if you have not thrown the glaive, or if you have not pretended that a boomerang was a glaive once in your life, then you are probably way cooler than us.
Yeah, true. Okay.
But the point about finding your niche community, it's important for people to belong. Clearly, a sense of belonging is important to mental health, and for people who have been in marginalized communities. Finding others, especially when you're in the severe minority in an area, is really important. Social media, the internet, has been really helpful.
That's the controversial take.
No, here's the controversial take.
Because that's controversial.
Here's the controversial take.
Yeah.
So social media has been very helpful for people to find. If you're in a rural. If you're in a rural community and you're the only person in that rural community who likes iguanas and nobody else likes iguanas and you feel really isolated and you find ilikeiguanas.com, you're going to feel a sense of connection. Yeah. Here's the controversial take. I would challenge you, I would encourage you not to let that then be the only thing you do.
Right.
And not to let that niche community be your only community. Because I think that probably puts you at a disadvantage for interacting with the rest of society, because you're going to need to know people who don't just like iguanas.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the only Facebook group I ever joined?
Tell me more.
It was...
ilikeiguanas.com.
No, it was the Jeff Jones group.
Oh, sure.
So I bet that only guys named Jeff Jones.
I bet that went south fast.
It did, because we all were like super excited about it, but then we didn't know who we were talking to. So it was impossible to like continue a conversation. And so it dropped out very quickly. But I just thought it was hilarious to be in the Jeff Jones Facebook group. There were a lot of us. It was not that niche.
Yeah, no. I have wanted to go to Nebraska and participate in the, I forget what it's called, but it's like basically the tournament of Joshes, where if your name is Josh, you can bring a foam sword and participate in basically a giant hit each other with a sword festival to find out who is the one true Josh.
I love that. That's so great. That's so great. We couldn't do it, Jeff's, because there would just be a massive bloodshed. Josh, speaking about just community. And,
okay, so let me make my final point.
Story. Okay, go ahead, and then I'm gonna tell a story.
Let me make my final point about the niche community. I don't want anybody to take away from this that you shouldn't find your community. If you feel supported in a smaller community, that's great. But again, to be a fully functioning member of this society, if that's what you choose to be, you need to get outside your echo chamber. You need to get outside of your small niche. You need to interact with others who have opposing and different views of yours. You may be afraid that they're not going to accept you, and that's very real. And look, I am definitely, as a middle-aged, bald white male doctor, not the one to be lecturing anybody about, hey, just put yourself out there and you will be accepted. I know that is not the reality. But just sticking in your tiny niche where you feel comfortable is the way that echo chambers begin, and the way that you start to think that your view is the view, when everybody's view out there is what makes up our entire world.
Yeah, and everybody in the Minecraft movie lets their freak flag fly.
Yes.
Which I love. Like, Steve is just unabashedly Steve, and then people come into his world and sort of fall in love with it. Momoa's the same way, where he's like, he's not giving up being the garbage man,
No.
under any circumstance, which I just think is magical. And it's like, I do think you have to let your freak flag fly. I think that, that's part of, in order to find your niche community. I used to have a shirt that said, I would cuddle you so hard, and it was a gift from my wife, and she was like, you're not going to wear that, are you? And I was like, you know what? Yes, I am. And man, the number of dudes who would just kind of quietly come up to me and be like, hey man, I love that shirt. I'm like, we have more cuddlers out there who want to come forth as cuddlers. And I just think that's magical. And so I love that shirt. And eventually it just wore out, but yeah, it was great. It was great.
I have a similar yet nerdier shirt story as well. I have a shirt that has a big American flag on it, and it says in bold letters, "Protect your Third Amendment rights." And I wear that out and about. And I mostly get puzzled looks. I occasionally get people go, yeah, who confuse it for another amendment.
Sure.
But occasionally I'll get the guy or gal who'll come up and go, Third Amendment, huh? I got you. And it's
what is the Third Amendment?
It is the very important amendment that does not allow the government to quarter soldiers in your home without your permission during peacetime.
Okay, all right.
It was so important to our founding fathers. They made it third.
Yeah.
And no one knows about it now because it hasn't been an issue. But
yeah. Which, I mean, at the time it was important because it's
number 3, baby.
The red coats were constantly being like, "This is my house now." So at the time it was hugely important.
It was the Barbara Gordon Batgirl Oracle of the amendments in third place.
You are such a dork, and I love you for it.
I'm
leaving that all in.
You should, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the movie a little bit, because I think we've talked about.
Thank you for doing my job for me as the host.
You're welcome. Well, someone has to.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I've actually got some questions I want to ask you about filmmaking. Because this was like you said, this was a movie that even people who didn't know anything about Minecraft connected with and really, really got. There were a couple things you pointed out that I was like, oh yeah, I guess it was really cool, but I didn't really know why it was so cool at the time. Right. One was, first at the beginning, Steve tells this story. He does a beginning exposition piece about how he got to the Minecraft world. And it was very necessary to move us along, et cetera, et cetera. But you pointed out that there was another part in the movie where they did a piece of exposition, which can sometimes be boring. It's just people talking to you. But you pointed out that they did it in such a slick way that it advanced the movie in several ways.
Oh,
Talk about that.
It's funny. Like we think about this all the time in screenwriting. It's screenwriting. I said "scree" again. In screenwriting, about how to hide exposition. And so sometimes you just need to do an information dump. You just need the audience to know certain information. And if you read any like screenwriting books, they'll often talk about like the Pope in the pool. And the metaphor is, if the Pope needs to say something, he's talking to an advisor, push him into a pool and watch him try and get out of the pool as he's saying the information. And it makes it a much more interesting scene. So there's a scene here where
I think you guys need to work on that analogy some.
It just is what it is. The zookeeper is talking to the older orphan girl, and they're giving us some very important information. And they're just whacking zombies as they do it. They're walking and just whacking zombies. And it's a perfect example of how to hide exposition. Give them something to do while they're telling you the information. We'll hear it. We'll get it. But we also want to see them doing something. So that was just a really, really great job of hiding the exposition. I'm going to dive into something too, Josh, that's a little screenwritery. Because we talked about adapting a video game last week when we talked about Last of Us and pulling out the themes of the game. So Minecraft is a different type of game than The Last of Us. It's what's known as a sandbox game. And a sandbox game is essentially, you think about it like a Zen garden, where the objective is to just move the sand around. It's not you're not aiming towards an end. The objective is to just do the thing. And so that's what makes it a sandbox. That's why we call it a sandbox.
Thank you for sandsplaining that to me.
Absolutely. So The Sims is a great example. You're just moving the people around and buying them stuff and moving them into a home. And Minecraft is the same way. You're just building. You're just being creative. So how do you make a game about that? And what they did really well was they spoke to the experience of the game rather than the themes in the game. And so they pulled out creativity and community. And so they decided to make a movie about creativity and community and the importance of creativity, the importance of community. And so it had nothing to do with the game. It had to do with the experience of the game. And I just thought that was incredibly well done. Like, that took a very, very talented writer to be able to nail that as well as they did. And so I really give credit to the screenwriters of this.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. It also helped that they made the entire thing so visually stunning. I mean, yes, yeah. I knew what Minecraft kind of looked like, but this was incredibly believable that these humans would be in this world and it looked the way it did and interacted the way it did. I mean, it was incredible.
Okay, Josh, that was a great conversation about creativity and friendship. I think we can wrap it up there, and we're going to talk more about video games at large on Thursday, so join us back for that. Thanks, as always, for watching or listening to Cinemental and our coverage of a Minecraft movie. If you like this episode, please subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also watch clips of Cinemental on YouTube, where we would love to hear what you would like us to cover next. You can also watch my companion series, The One Thing, where I take a deeper dive into screenwriting, both available on the Large and in Charge channel on YouTube. Follow Dr. Josh Jones, America's Psychiatrist, on Blue Sky. This has been a Large and in Charge production. For Josh Jones, I'm Jeff Jones, and we will see you on Thursday.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.